Traveler's Chosen is a sidearm that we've been waiting an entire season to get our hands on so far. The quest is actually really easy, albeit somewhat time-consuming and occasionally just flat-out boring, but it's nothing out of the ordinary for the rise and grind type of game that Destiny has become over the years. Now, I'm not here to do a quest guide. It's relatively straightforward, and it really doesn't need a guide, if I'm being honest. If you haven't snagged the quest flag yet, you can do so by monologuing with Zavala, and by that, I mean just skip all of his dialogue because he's about as interesting as a brick. On the flip side, however, the gun he's clenching in those banana hands of his is the Traveler's Chosen, and I'm going to tell you why it's so special. Traveler's Chosen is special because it was also the first gun we had our hands on in vanilla Destiny 2, and as a result, it's slightly sentimental to a degree. Also, that first reason was a joke. There's only one reason, and it's that Traveler's Chosen is likely the best sidearm you can get in this game right now, and that's not me jacking the gun off either. It's just legitimately that good by default. In terms of stats, we've got one hell of a gun to play around with. To kick things off, it sits at an RPM of 300, which puts it in one of the most comfortable damage archetypes you can get for a sidearm. It sits right above the horrendous 260 RPM archetype and just under the 360 RPM. Essentially what this means is that it won't be as abysmally bad as Lonesome, which is really all that matters because whether you want to admit it or not, Lonesome sucks, end of discussion. We've got an impact at 49, a range at 86, stability at 73, handling at 86, a base reload speed of 46, and a general aim assist of 85. It has a 15-round magazine that hits hard and loads fast. It's a healthy balance between speed and damage. Let's take a gander at the perks and talk about what this gun really is at its core. First tier perk is a Quick Dot SAS, which is an agile sidearm sight. It provides a +5 to stability, an additional +14 in handling, and a +5 in aim assist. Second tier, we have armor piercing rounds. Rounds cause extra damage to shields and overpenetrate targets. This adds an additional +4 to range. We're going to skip the third tier and we'll talk about it in a little bit, but for the fourth tier, we have a short action stock. This gives an additional +14 to handling, as if the gun just didn't have enough handling already. So all of this together, based on the numbers, gives us a well-rounded sidearm that handles like a hot knife through butter, and it hits hard enough to make another player think twice. It's genuinely a good gun, straight off the assembly line. Way to go, Bungie. Thanks for not giving me another lump of shit like Devil's Ruin. When we take a look at the perks, the ones that are there specifically to sell it, the idea for this gun takes a complete 180 and goes a whole different direction, and I mean that in the best way possible. The parent perk is called Gathering Light, and holy Christ, is it a must-have. Final blows with this weapon grant stacks of Gathering Light. Hold reload to consume all stacks, which restores melee, grenade, and class ability energy based on the number of stacks that are currently held. The sub-perk is called Gift of the Traveler. Each stack of Gathering Light improves this weapon's reload speed, handling, and target acquisition. Those two perks together make this gun what I like to refer to as a base. Base in a sense of the starting point of a build, the essential first piece of gear that connects other armors and abilities together. There's always two in every build that's worth something, and 9 times out of 10 they're exotics. Here's a hot example fresh out of the oven. Bottom Tree Night Stalker for double grenade effect duration. Traveler's Chosen plus Mechaneer's Trick Sleeves for the base reload buff and damage buff at critical health. Swift Charge to charge yourself with light via Traveler's Chosen, plus 1 stack of Protective Light for extra defense when you're at critical health, a stack of Loosened Blade plus Fallen Guillotine, and lastly, Oppressive Darkness to double all potential damage. Even more so when critical with the Traveler's Chosen equipped because of Mechaneer's Trick Sleeves. Now, that's just an idea, but you get my meaning here. All of the mods and abilities that came after Trick Sleeves and Traveler's Chosen are reliant on those two. They sustain them, creating a circular energy flow where one thing generates energy for another. As a result, this sidearm is essential when seriously build crafting or putting together an armor set for high-level instances. These are the types of perks that can make or break a good build and provide balance and compensation for stat points lost due to mods or armor variations. Now, we've already established that Traveler's Chosen is great, but why is it so good? That is the question. What is it about this gun that separates it from any of its other 300 RPM counterparts? Sure, it recharges ability energy, that's great and all, but if you take that away, it's just a normal sidearm. At a glance, there wouldn't be anything special about it, so let's pretend exotic perks are non-existent, just for a moment. There are 10 other 300 RPM sidearms in Destiny 2 right now, excluding the Traveler's Chosen and other variants of it. They are as follows: Devil's Ruin, Rat King, 18 Kelvins, Allied Demand, Buzzard, Controlling Vision, Drang, I can't pronounce the word that comes after that, so I'm not even going to try, translation theory, and lastly, vertical orbit QSM. That's excluding 3 other versions of Traveler's Chosen itself that we're not counting, one being damaged, the other being a white drop, and the last being the exotic rendition. But when you look at all of these guns, you'll notice a common fault. That fault is base handling. All of these guns, when compared to Traveler's Chosen, have horrendous handling, and once you have it in your hands and you fire it, you'll see exactly what it is that I mean. It's smooth, it's buttery, it's like gravy on mashed potatoes. It's a fast draw unbuffed, it's quick to aim, sure to fire, and it just feels good. And that good feeling only gets better when you start stacking Gift of the Traveler, which grants small yet accumulative boosts to handling, reload, and aim assist. Stack that buff 10 times and you'll never miss, you'll reload in the blink of an eye, and you'll draw unbelievably fast. The only sidearm I can even think of comparing it to is outside of its archetype, that being the SI2, which sits at a max handling of 83, only 3 points under the Traveler's Chosen. Handling is the key stat here. That's why it's so good. That's why it's different from any other sidearm when you exclude exotic perks. However, it also has an exceptionally high range stat for such a small little gun. Sitting at an 86, you can hold on to those Gift of the Traveler stacks to boost your aim assist as well, creating a lethal tool for mid to longer range combat scenarios. It might not deal the highest amount of damage per round, but that doesn't really matter all that much when you're constantly hitting for critical damage. If I had to choose, I'd take an accurate gun that hits for less over an uncontrollable fire hose that hits like a truck, but that's just me. It doesn't have the highest stability stat for sidearms, but that doesn't change the fact that its stability stat is abnormally high given the buffs that it can stack and the things that it can do. That being said, it is still a laser. It's really hard to miss unless you don't have eyes. Recoil direction sits at an 85, so it's technically there, but I'm thoroughly convinced the game is lying when it gives that number, because unless you are intentionally flinging your mouse across the room every time you take a shot, you won't even be able to notice the recoil deviation. That's what makes this gun a godsend. It is literally the only gun in this game to feel so smooth and sleek. 100% a necessary weapon for any arsenal. All in all, Traveler's Chosen is a fantastic gun. It's well designed, it's just all around great, without any major drawbacks. The only thing I might consider to be a slight drawback would be the fact that it is sort of, well, kind of, yeah, a sidearm, and they're still relatively weak in comparison to other weapon classes in the game. But that doesn't mean by any stretch that it's worthless. This is a build gun. It's perfect and you need it. Trust me. Look, I've spent like the last 10 minutes trying to convince you that this gun is worth your time, so stop watching this video and just go get it. I promise it's worth it, and I'll still be here when you get back. This is what I do now. My life has become roped.